You're listening to the Gutsy Podcast, where we talk about all things real, raw, and ridiculous about running a business authentically. I'm Laura Wallace, also known as the Laura Aura, lover of all things inspirational, owner of Works Graphic Design, and your host on this journey through entrepreneurship. I'm here to help you get out of your head and back into action as a passionate business rock star. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday as we fuel your Gutsy. Welcome to this week's episode of the Gutsy Podcast. We are going to talk all about the entrepreneurial mindset cycle. Yep, you heard me right. There is a cycle to the madness that goes on in your head. But first, I'd love to invite you to join the Works team in our community at LeaderCast Live. LeaderCast is the world's largest one-day simulcast event built for inspiration, motivation, and key things that you can take right back to your office and implement right away. We have been attending LeaderCast for the last 7 years, the most recently hosting for the last 2 years. And I can honestly say that it's been an investment in my team and their minds. And not only have we all grown personally, but collectively, we've brought this amazing knowledge together, which in turn has helped grow our business. So if you're looking for a spark of inspiration, you need to shake up your normal routine within your business, or you're just looking for some strategies to help take you to the next level, LeaderCast Live is the most perfect place for you to do that. So pencil in Friday, May 10th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and head over to worksgd.com, click on the LeaderCast icon, which will take you to the checkout page where you can enter the Gutsy Podcast as a coupon code to save $5 off your ticket. So let's get back into this conversation about the entrepreneurial mindset cycle. It is probably one of the most challenging aspects of owning a business, quite honestly, because 1 minute you feel completely on top of the world, you can take the day by storm. I mean, just everything is possible. And sometimes within the same day, hour, minute, second, you go from feeling on top of the world to wanting to leave the entire galaxy, like getting on a rocket ship and getting your ass out of here and never coming back again. It's often the difference between having a ton of ideas versus feeling like you've hit a brick wall, or having lots of momentum to feeling like you're standing in quicksand. By the way, cartoons when I was younger lied because I thought that quicksand was going to be a much bigger problem than what it actually is. Total side note. I was talking to a fellow business owner the other day, and she was like, Laura, I feel like our brains are wired differently. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could not agree more, because this honestly is not for the faint of heart, because the lows can be pretty low, but it's also for people that are not willing to just settle in life. This is for people that have ideas and want to pursue something and want to make an impact and have something that's inside of them that feels so insanely amazing that it's more painful to keep it in than it is to let it out. I always find it amazing how we end up in these tribes of people. If you listen to last week's podcast, we talked about finding your tribe, and having a tribe of like-minded people that think the way you do, have the same obstacles, have the same types of celebrations, have the same 4 a.m. spark of inspiration that leaves you wide awake and unable to go back to sleep. This tribe of like-minded people is one of the most powerful parts of this entire journey. Just think about like electricians, okay? That's an entire tribe of its own. Electricians are constantly looking at the wires everywhere that they go. My husband, AJ, has a drafting degree, so everywhere we go, he's looking at the building and the structure and how the layout is. I've learned to just give him a couple of seconds when we walk into a building, not engage into a conversation real quick. I let him scan the room. It's actually pretty funny. If you're a ballerina, you're constantly thinking about your different moves and the grace of your body. If you're a truck driver, you're constantly thinking about the traffic on the road and how to get from point A to point B. If you're a consultant, you're constantly thinking about different methods that you can give to your customers to help get them over their humps. If you make soap, you're constantly thinking about different scents and fragrances and how to change the recipe. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. We are all in our own individual industries, doing our own thing. But what connects us all is the entrepreneurial mindset. Yes, we all may be doing different tricks or trades or services, whatever you do on your day-to-day life. But We are all humans. Before anything else that we do, we are our own individual people. And as people, we have feelings, and feelings are reality unless they are worked on and worked through. And I can tell you that owning a business comes with a lot of feelings. I honestly thought that I was losing my ever-loving mind when I first started Works. I mean, one minute I was so excited that I could hardly stand to be in my own skin, and within 24 hours, I felt like the most useless human being that ever walked the planet. Now, when my logical mind kicks in, I know that that's not real. But what happens inside of your mind can become a very real place very quickly. And then very slowly, I started to realize that there was kind of this cycle that happened. I would get really excited about stuff, and then I would spend tons of time researching, and then I would start to question myself, and then I would stop. And then do the cycle all over again. And again, in my own head, when we're not talking about these things out loud, you think that you're the only one that thinks like this. You're the only one on the planet that gets this insanely excited, and you're the only business owner ever to exist that has ever gotten down on themselves. Okay, let me tell you, that couldn't be further from the truth. The more in tune I started to get with myself and realize that I had my own mental cycle, the more it helped me realize that our clients were having a very similar cycle and mindset. The business owners that I associate with were having a very similar mindset. And I quickly found that when I started talking about it, people instantly opened up because it was like a doorway to, oh my gosh, I am not alone. You feel like this too? Because I was pretty sure I was the only person locked behind my doors feeling like this. And the answer to that is no, you are not. You are not the only one. The only reason that I know that you have been in your bed under your covers, not wanting to get out and face the challenges that you have to look eye to eye at, or that you sit up in bed in the middle of the night in midstream thought, coming right out of a dead sleep, right into how am I going to make payroll this week, is because I have these same exact thoughts and feelings, guys. We are no different. We just need to be okay with talking about the stuff that we're going through. So today, we're going to talk about this cycle. We're going to go through each section. There's 4 of them. How to recognize them, how to use them to your advantage, and how to be okay and let them be when they need to be. Because just because something is exciting doesn't mean you should act on it. And just because something is hard doesn't mean that you should give up either. In a nutshell, here is kind of a classic scenario of some of the things that happen in our heads when we have an idea. We go from, oh my gosh, I have an idea. This is amazing. I can't wait to get started. There's a lot to figure out, so I'm going to start researching things. But I'm wondering if maybe, can I even do this? I'm not really sure that I have enough time. And why me? Like, who even cares what I have to say? I don't even know if I can handle this. I'll get to this when I have time. I've got these few other things that I need to handle first. And wait, what was that? What was that idea that I was thinking about a couple weeks ago? And then you'll be driving down the road. The sun will hit you the right way. The perfect song comes on. You get a spark of an idea, and you do the whole process over again. So let's break this down into the 4 cycles so we can really start to recognize what's happening, when it's happening, and how we're feeling with those. So the first one, which is my personal favorite, and I think probably most people's favorite part, is the aha moment. This is when you get that spark of an idea, the light bulb goes off, all the stars align. It's just like the funnel of information is just streaming right into your brain. If you're anything like me, I get so ridiculously excited about what's going on that I can hardly stand myself. I want to share it with people. I want to talk about it. I could just stop everything that I'm doing in my entire life and dedicate all of my time towards this idea. It's particularly satisfying if you've been stuck also, or if you've been spinning your wheels in the mud and things just haven't been coming together. This aha moment is like the victory moment where you know that you can move ahead now that you have an idea. This is often the phase where new businesses are born because someone has seen something and they have this aha moment. Hey, this could be better. And this is how I could do that. And sometimes it's recognizing a void in your own business and having this aha moment to fill that need. Aha moments can be something as simple as realizing a more efficient way to do something, or something as grand as restructuring or creating an entirely new product, service, or business. Now, I'm always super in tune to emotions, so I want to talk about the emotions that come along with each one of these steps as well. So when you're in the aha stage, you are feeling like a brand new person. I mean, you've got a little extra pep in your step, you've got butterflies, you're just feeling energetic, you're feeling happy, maybe even a little happy anxious as well. You typically start to talk a little faster and you start to act a little faster. I mean, everything just kind of goes into this hyperdrive. And the best way to keep this awesome feeling going is by giving your idea attention. Because the most impactful way to give life to something is by giving it momentum. I mean, power requires power, right? If you think about starting your car, you could push your car, but if you give it power, you can go a lot further. I also recommend giving your idea some space. One of the downfalls to the aha moment is this sprint of I must do it right now because this is the new shiny thing. My business coach is often like, Laura, are we having shiny syndrome again? So I've learned that when you have these grand ideas, to give them some time and some space as well. I now like to sleep on it, think about it, let it marinate a little bit before I start opening my mouth telling the world about it. Because not every idea needs to come to life. Sometimes an idea will lead to the next great idea, which will actually be the thing. So give your ideas some time and space to marinate to see, hey, is this going to be something that we really invest our time in? Or is this just kind of flyby to get me to the right thing? By doing this, you are not only doing yourself a favor, but you're doing everyone around you a favor. Because you're not constantly having this, oh, hey, oh, let's do this, oh, let's do that. Ideas will work their way down and through, and the good ones will stick. And those are the ones that you can then present and say, hey, I've thought about this. This is an idea. This is why we want to pursue it. Let's give this some effort. It's at that point we start to move into phase 2, which is ideas in motion. This is the cool part that comes after you have decided that, yes, this is an idea that's going to stick around and we're going to give it some love. This is when you start hitting the ground running. I mean, you've got free-flowing thoughts. You are spending lots of time on the internet, reading books, reading articles. You're just absorbing a lot of information so that you can figure out how to make this idea work. This is often the phase where people get like their graduate degree in Google University because you spend all hours of the day and night investing your time in figuring things out on the internet. And sometimes you feel like you can't get the ideas out of your head fast enough, and other times you get a little tripped up and you get a little stuck, but then that little spark comes back and you're like, oh, I got this. I know how we're going to make this work. This is the stage where your idea transforms from a thought into something tangible that has a plan behind it. And even if the plan isn't 110% perfectly mapped out, you at least have a rough sketch on how you're going to get there. One of the things I love most about this particular phase is this is where you're not really given two craps about what anybody else is doing. And by that, I mean, you're not really comparing because you're so immersed in figuring out how to make it happen that you're not worried about how other people are making it happen. You're just completely dedicated to bringing this idea to life. Your emotions are very focused. You're very driven. You're very dedicated. You're committed to giving it your all, because if you don't, then that idea is going to go away. At some point, though, you kind of get to the end of the internet, right? Like there's nothing else that you can read. You have brainstormed all the ideas that you can. You've talked to all the right people. You've got it all sketched out. And then we start going into the next phase, which is called the mental scramble. This is when it starts to get a little bit tough because the little voices in the back of your head start feeding you thoughts and ideas, which is super inconvenient, especially coming off of such a wonderful high of that aha moment that you've had. This is often when that honeymoon phase starts to fizzle out and the reality of the work that needs to go into your idea settles in. Do you remember in the last phase how I told you that you weren't comparing? Well, this is typically when comparing starts to come in. So you can only spend so many hours on the internet before you're bound to come across someone that has had a very similar idea, if not the same idea that you have just come up with. And then you start to tell yourself that they've done it better. They've already done it, so why would you do it? Why does anyone care what you have to say? You don't have nearly the accolades that that person has. They've already said it so well. How on earth are you going to top that? You also start kind of feeling like, well, maybe I need to educate myself a little bit more, or maybe if I just take one more class, or maybe if I talk to one more person about it, then maybe, just maybe, my idea is worthy of coming to life. When you're in this particular phase, your emotions are starting to feel a little bit down. You start feeling a little concerned, a little worried, a little overwhelmed at what you have just decided to embark on. You feel a little shy and introverted, like you just want to pull back a little bit. Because if you hide away, then maybe you don't have to deal with some of these scrambly mental feelings that you're having. And herein lies the most important, pivotal part of this entire process. You can either overcome these thoughts and feelings by surrounding yourself with positivity, the right people, the right encouragement, and just literally doing the things. Or if you're not careful, and it's inevitable sometimes, honestly, guys, to slip into what we call the last part of the cycle, which is the thumbs down moment. This is my least favorite part because I am naturally a very high energy person. And when I find myself in the thumbs down stage, which I do, it really drains my energy, like completely down and out. You can usually tell when I'm in this phase. Like I walked into the office the other day and apparently I was in this phase and didn't even really realize it. And I'm really thankful to have a very intuitive team. And Amber got on Slack, which is a messaging system that we have. And she's like, "Hey, are you okay today?" This is the part of the cycle where you feel like you can't do the thing that you set out to do anymore. Maybe you have given in to those thoughts that you had that you're not good enough or you're not the one that should be able to pursue it or bring it to life. Or maybe you have over compared yourself and have convinced yourself that those people do it better than you, so you're just simply not going to. Or maybe you just get completely consumed by the hows. How to make this happen? How are you going to align things? How are you going to factor in finances into this idea of yours? And honestly, sometimes it's not even a mental shutdown, but a distraction shutdown. I know that there are 1,000 things that need your attention on a regular basis. So maybe your idea has just quite literally been put on the back burner and you have forgotten about it. Giving a brand new idea life requires a lot of energy. So it's easy to get distracted by the to-do list of easy things that you can very quickly check off and get them done. And before you know it, you have another checklist, then you have another checklist, and days and weeks and months and sometimes even years go by, and these ideas just sail out into the night. Well, my friend, you are captain of this ship, and I'm going to need you to turn that beast around, and let's get back and let's get refocused. From an emotional standpoint, this can sometimes feel very depressing. It can feel very down, overwhelming, and it's oftentimes when people feel like they have failed. Now, I'm also a huge believer in divine timing. I think that sometimes when things don't work out, maybe they're not supposed to, or maybe they're not supposed to in that time or season. And when that idea is right, and it is for you, and it does want your attention, gosh, all it takes is that little spark that we talked about earlier, that little reigniting thought or feeling or being in the right place at the right time. All it takes is just that one little spark to send you 100 miles an hour back into that aha moment where that beautiful energy comes to bring your idea to life. This entire cycle is so obvious to me now that not only does it help me with my own business and working through some of the obstacles, but it helps me to see it in other people too. And because this is such a regular cycle, I'm going to tell you that right now, I personally am in the ideas in motion phase. At the beginning of this year, I decided that I was just going to flip the entire table over and do all the things that I've been too afraid to do so that I can get us, our team, and our family to the place where I know that we can be. So right now, I feel like this crazy Energizer bunny. And I'm like, "Oh, what if we did this? Oh, what if we did that?" And then I'm researching, and then I'm scheduling things, and I'm figuring things out, and I'm researching. And we have done so many things in the last few weeks that we've never done before. We're quite literally figuring them out along the way. But it's so exciting because we are seeing things starting to come to fruition. It has been the ultimate say yes and figure it out later. But these ideas, including this podcast and the launch of the Gutsy shop on our website, align so perfectly and beautifully with the goals that we have created for not only this year, but for moving forward, that they deserve our time, love, and attention. So I'm really enjoying this phase, especially this time around, because there's lots of energy behind it and lots of great things are happening because of it. I want to leave you with a couple of last minute nuggets here. First and foremost, I want you to really think about these 4 different phases. Which one of these do you identify with most right now? And most importantly, thinking about this on a regular basis so that you can recognize, where is your energy? How are you feeling? What habits are appearing when you're in these particular phases? And where do you find that you get stuck most? You see, you can use the cycle as a tool, as a guide through some of the processes that you're going through, so that you can quickly identify where you are your best, where you get hung up, and how to overcome some of the obstacles that you're facing. And I would bet that once you identify yourself with this system on a regular basis, you're going to start to notice it in other people as well, which is a beautiful gift because you can celebrate them with their ideas and help them through some of the down parts that may seem overwhelming and challenging. So when you're in an aha moment, find out, where do your ideas come to you naturally? Where is your beam of light? When you're in ideas in motion, how will you know when enough research is enough? When you're feeling like you're in a mental scramble, what are you telling yourself that's just simply not true? And if you find yourself in the thumbs down, who or what do you need to be around that inspires you? If you're digging this information, you're like, oh man, I'm just getting started. I really want to do some more. I invite you to go over to thegutsyshop.com. And you can either purchase the physical copy or download the digital copy of Brand Starter. We've got a full chapter dedicated to the entire drill process, and it helps you work through things like how can you use each stage to empower yourself and what lessons you're learning from each phase that you go through. And if you want to hang out with me on this Thursday's Power Back, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into which part of the drill that you find yourself in right now. Until then, follow the Gutsy Podcast on Facebook and Instagram for real-time updates. And of course, you can find me personally on Instagram at @ThatLauraOra for more business insights. See you next time.